Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are having a fab Thursday. I'm very excited for a few reasons. Number one, because I'm just constantly looking from my window waiting for this snow to arrive and hoping we all get snowed in so we can have an extra day as a family, snuggled in with the fire lit, watching movies. That is like my dream. I need a snow day. I want a snow day. So I'm fingers crossed today the snow is coming. But second of all, because I've just had a very exciting delivery from Selfridges. I'm loving that they're giving out these little like Hessian bags with their deliveries all of a sudden. That is awesome. But also because inside the exciting bag is an even more exciting foundation. So this is the brand new Guerlain L'Essentiel foundation. I won't try and pronounce the rest of this that's on the box, but this is the foundation that Trend Mood has been posting everywhere, and we've been seeing the pictures of it for months because, oh my God, look at this bottle. This is just the most beautiful, without any exception, bottle that I've ever seen in my life. Bar none. As soon as I saw this bottle on Trend Mood and then Wayne Goss posted about it, and there was a few pictures from like the launch, which I think was in Asia first, possibly, I knew I had to have it because frankly, even if this goes on my face like tar, I'm not gonna be mad at it just because of this. So yeah, this seems to have launched exclusively on Selfridges in the UK first, and obviously it will follow in other places, but I literally jumped straight on it, straight through my door. Wanted to get on it as soon as possible for you guys. So I will say the first thing is it's expensive. Like even for Guerlain, which is expensive, it's expensive. So the Lingerie de Peau foundation, if you don't know, which is Guerlain's sort of signature foundation, this is $39.50 and it's one of the most expensive foundations I own. This is £44. So although it's not out in the US yet, so I don't have the pricing information in the US, you can expect it to be $4 or $5 more than the price of the Lingerie de Peau. They sound very similar as far as finish. This one claims to be light to medium coverage, and it is called the Natural Glow Foundation. So presumably we're gonna get a glowy, dewy finish. So that is the second reason. There was two reasons I was obsessed with getting my mitts on this. One, this bottle, and dead. Two, had the word glow in it, so of course had to go on my face. So I will have all the information about the foundation that I can get, but it is only available on Selfridges. It's not even on Guerlain's website yet. The one thing I will say to note about this foundation is they've added a lot of shades. So there are only 19 shades in the Lingerie de Peau, and one of those was added recently. It launched with 18 and this has launched with 30 shades. So as much as I feel like the shade range, yes, it's not coming for Fenty or anything, or you know, in the MAC realms of shade range, it is a huge improvement and move forward, and I'm definitely here for the progress. I think that's fantastic that they've come out with a new foundation with loads more shades. In the Lingerie de Peau, which is a favourite of mine for a long time, I have the shade 3W, so I just picked up the same in this shade, in spite of there being some new shades that I thought might be better for me. I just decided to stick to what I know, so I know it's going to be okay on me. But yeah, they have added some deeper shades, and they've added some really fair shades, and they've also added some in between, like shades in the middle as well. So they've added a few in each category, which is fabulous. It claims to have 16-hour wear and it has SPF 20, so we will obviously do a flash test because I would expect to see some with a level of SPF. This foundation also claims to have, I believe, 97% natural ingredients, which is fabulous. So I'm just priming my skin with the Guerlain L'Or primer, not necessarily because it's from Guerlain, just because it is a nice primer, but it's not one that's mega dewy or matte, and it's not one that is like very, very smoothing or anything like that, or that it, you know, massively reduces redness, so it's not really going to affect how the foundation performs. So along with this new foundation, they brought out a new foundation brush, so presumably they feel that it applies best with a brush, but we're going to do half and half to see. I don't know if this is a twist cap. Oh, okay. Oh. Okay. Is this a trick? Is it actually a pull-off? Yes. Yes, it is. Thank goodness. I almost made an ass of myself. So it does have a pump. You have to pull this off quite hard. That could have been embarrassing because I could have been, yeah. Nearly thought it was like a weird smear on your face situation, but it is a pump, which I always appreciate. Oh, I have no idea how much we need to use. It does say it's buildable from light to medium. And it is very runny and not too thick. So I think I'm going to start off with the sponge. Definitely slightly scented. I think I'm picking up on like a perfume scent, but it's not as strong as I was maybe expecting. If you're sensitive to fragrance, you don't like fragrance in your foundations, it's not going to be one for you. So it's a pretty good shade actually. You can see it's maybe slightly lighter for my twinsies. That's definitely, I would say, a light coverage. It's probably not as glowy as I was expecting. I was expecting it definitely to be a bit dewier than this, certainly on initial application. So that's interesting. Yeah, it's definitely got a perfume scent I can smell now quite strongly. What I do feel about Guerlain is with their shades, they really do very well with undertones. I feel like their undertones are very natural. Their warms are not, you know, bright orange or bright yellow. I feel like their neutrals are true neutrals. So yeah, that's like a little bit built up there to pretty much a medium coverage, I would say. There's still some redness, definitely beauty marks, but obviously quite a difference to this side. It's looking quite glowy in the monitor, but not so much in person. So I'm going to go in on this side with my Sigma F80 and see what differences we notice. I think there might be a darker dry down going on here. If you see this freshly applied side versus this side, it's not what I would count as oxidization, it's just as it's drying down, it's darkening up, which most foundations do. I think matte foundations kind of do it generally a bit worse. I'm not having much issues as far as like getting rid of brush strokes. This side, I do feel like I built up more coverage quicker with the brush, which you would expect, than I did with the sponge. I think I've used a similar amount on both sides, but I think I've got more coverage initially with this side. Applying, blending into the skin like an absolute dream. I feel like, you know, that is what Guerlain is kind of known for, being that very much enhancing natural beauty, you know, your skin but better, that sort of real skin-like natural radiance look, and this definitely goes along those lines. I am actually seeing the dewy finish now a bit more, now I've kind of given it a second and had a closer look. So yeah, I definitely think, I'm just going to build up on my redness here to see if we can fully cover that. I definitely think we're at a sort of light to medium coverage, which is pretty much the claim here. It's definitely looking pretty dewy. It is soaking into my smile lines as you would expect. It is incredibly skin-like. This is definitely one where if you know, actually wanted to try and pass for not having foundation on, this would be a good choice. I feel like this one, in order for me to love it, it's got to beat out my Charlotte Tilbury Light Wonder. They are very much in the same sort of foundation family. You know, this is sitting in that category of being skin-like, natural, glowy, no makeup foundation. So that's kind of my holy grail in that category. And Charlotte Tilbury covers my redness very nicely. And actually now, with just that little bit of concentrated build up on my redness, I'd say we're in a similar place to the Charlotte Tilbury. That whole amount is like more or less gone off of my tray. Builds really nicely. There's no like cakiness or heaviness where I'm building it up. So here we go. As you can see, it's still looking really dewy, even though it's had a second to dry down. My chin area is looking really nice, which is kind of like my biggest area as far as like signs of aging and texture and things like that. It's looking really nice on my chin. It looks pretty good in around my nose. Looks good now. I just went in with a sponge in between brows. It is soaking into smile lines, which 99% of foundations do. It looks very smooth. My forehead looks pretty good. And it is just, as you can see, very natural, very skin-like. The dry down now seems to have evened up with like the same colour on both sides, and it's very good match. For me, really happy with the colour match. Remember, I didn't use like a smoothing primer or anything like that would help it, but it looks very smooth and healthy and plump, and just very, very fresh, youthful and skin-like. Okay, so we're back. I've just finished off the rest of my makeup and let everything dry down and just sit for a minute and kind of checked out how I feel about it. I think it's really beautiful right now. So yeah, everything went on top of it like a dream. I've bronzed using my Marc Jacobs Tantastic bronzer. I've used my Laura Mercier Peach Blush. I've used Opal Becca highlighter, and everything went on top beautiful. I did not set with powder or use any kind of setting spray, anything that would kind of help the foundation's longevity. It does claim a 16-hour wear time, so I really want to make sure that I'm seeing what the foundation wears like by itself without setting it and all of that stuff. So the only areas I've set are like my concealer areas where I set my concealer, so under my eyes, just between my brows, down the bridge of my nose, my moustache zone and my chin, and yeah, everywhere else, even though, you know, it is quite a luminous foundation, obviously this is highlight, but it is quite a luminous foundation. I wouldn't say it's dewy, it doesn't look wet, it's definitely more of a natural luminosity, lit from within type of finish at the moment. So despite that, buffing, bronzer and blush and everything over the top, nothing moved, nothing tugged. It was very, very smooth to apply on top of. As you can see, the shade is perfect and it hasn't got any darker, nothing else has happened, and it's been like nearly an hour since the foundation went on. So it is just, it's 11:15. I'm gonna say the start time is 10. Since the foundation went on, I've obviously done the rest of my face, been pottering around and done the flash test and everything. So the starting point for the wear test is 10 AM. So we're gonna give it a good 8 hours to see how it wears. At the moment, it's very similar in lots of ways to the Charlotte Tilbury Light Wonder. It's got a similar finish. It's also quite similar to the Clinique Even Better Glow, which are the two foundations that are in that same category that I have liked before. We, you know, light to medium coverage, luminous finish, natural skin-like, etc. It's definitely in my smile lines. Let me give you a close. It's definitely gone into my smile lines, like settled in there. Most foundations do that on me, but yeah, it's definitely no better or worse than the average foundation in my smile lines. My forehead looks pretty good. Overall skin, it looks pretty smooth. You can still see redness peeking through, and I feel like my Charlotte Tilbury covers that better as far as redness, but it's got a similar amount of coverage, if that makes sense. But I feel like the Charlotte Tilbury, for a very light coverage foundation, somehow completely neutralizes my redness, whereas this took a bit of building up on those red areas, and you can still just about see some poking through here. Chin looks really good, which is usually my complaint area. Not settling into any other lines other than smile lines. Forehead looks good, overall looks good. I really like the finish of it. It's glowy and luminous and natural. And it really doesn't have any tackiness left. It doesn't feel sticky. I'm gonna lightly touch it. It doesn't claim to be transfer proof as far as I've seen, but I'm just gonna lightly touch it with this cloth that came from Selfridges. I don't wanna rub it because I think that's a bit unfair. There's nothing on there. So that's pretty good. I feel like when it doesn't claim to be transfer proof and is a more radiant foundation, I just want to be able to touch my face and it not come straight off, or, you know, hug someone and it not be all over their clothes. And I think that's pretty good for a foundation that I haven't seen it claim to be transfer proof. I did do a quick flash test and I'm actually surprised. There's maybe a slight white cast happening, given if you looked at my face is literally pretty perfect against my body. I feel like my face is slightly lighter in the flash photo, but then I also feel like that's to be expected with the flash photo because the light obviously is going to bounce off your face because that's closer to the lens than your body. But I really don't see anything there that would make me worry about white cast or wearing it of an evening, which is impressive given it does have an SPF of 20. So yeah, I'm quite impressed by the flash test. I think it looks decent, nothing to freak out about. So far so good, really liking it, very natural, very smoothing, looks like skin, feels like nothing. I can't notice any perfume or anything. As soon as it, you know, was on, the perfume smell was not noticeable anymore. But if you are very sensitive to perfume, as always, Guerlain has perfume in the foundation, so you may want to pass if that's your vibe. So far, so very, very good. I'm going to give this, as I said, a good 8 hours. I feel like 16 hours is a really good, reasonable, realistic claim. I think some of these foundations that claim 24 hours is unlikely to be true. I've heard a lot of times recently people say, well, you know, I'd only ever wear my foundation for 8 hours, so why does it need to be any longer? And I think we're sort of forgetting, lots of people work shifts. Myself, I work a 9 to 5, hours wise, pretty much. But I don't live next door to my work, you know, I have like children to drop off and pick up, and I put my foundation on at like 7 in the morning and I need it to last at least till 7 at night. Shift workers might be working a 16-hour shift. I know I certainly did when I was bartending, so I think there are lots of people who do want more than 8 hours of wear time. So I feel like 16 hours sounds reasonable, sounds realistic, and for lots of people will be what they look for in a foundation, is that sort of time. As with all my foundation reviews, I'm going to give it a good 8 to 9 hours and we'll come back and see how it's worn throughout the day. See you in a few. Hi guys, okay, so we are back and it is just coming up now to 6:15. So this is around about the 8-hour mark and where we're going to call an end to our wear test. So I've just been taking a really close look at this mirror in front of me just to see what I can notice, see what's happening wear-wise, and there's a couple of weird things that I don't think you're going to be able to see on camera, but I will zoom you in because you never know. But I don't think it's going to be, you know, a powerful enough lens for you to see what I can see. But there's definitely, the foundation is pretty much like gone just here on the underside of my nose. I don't know if you'll be able to see, I don't really have like an issue with large pores or just pores in general, but I hope you can see that this is really settled into like, I don't know whether to call it pores or what, but I have never seen that before. That is the first time that I've seen that sort of almost like soaking into pores or like just textured areas around here, and these lines here, I didn't even know that was there. And the same thing on my chin. My chin is starting to break apart now at around the 8-hour mark. So the 16-hour claim, I can't see that being true. Excuse my terrible bodge job reapplied lipstick. It doesn't look great on my top lip. It's sunk into lines here, just there, and it's starting to be a bit cakey. It's really soaked into lines, and not just lines but like pores and other areas around my nose. It's definitely breaking apart on my chin, and it's again, we've got it really weird like dots, which I think is like pores or something that I just didn't even know I had, and I've never really seen that before. My forehead looks okay. I definitely don't think it's got like way shinier or anything like that, but I do think it's starting to look a bit, I feel like it's aging me. I don't think it's got like any more dewy or, you know, got like sort of shiny anywhere, but I do feel like as the day's gone on, it's kind of aging me, especially in like this area, and that is really like a first for me. Like I haven't really had an issue before. I've had the issue with my chin looking textured before. This just here, I've never seen that. I do think on the whole, like looking at my face from a bit of a distance, it looks good. It hasn't worn off, it's not disappeared, it's not gone from my nose, it's not got very shiny or anything like that. It feels very lightweight and very hydrating, so I do think dry skin will like this. And I don't necessarily think it's like so dewy that oily skin should just totally rule it out either. I feel like if, you know, with a bit of powder, oily skin can wear this. I don't unfortunately think it's going to be great for mature skin, textured skin, people with acne scarring, or people with issues with pores, because I didn't even really know I had pores and now I've got issues with pores. So yeah, I would definitely give this another try. I think the shade is great. It hasn't oxidized or dried down any dark or changed throughout the day. It stayed as it did once it had settled in. However, if I could return this if I lived in the US, I probably would. I may give it one more try, but then I probably would return it, because honestly, in comparison to like my Laura Mercier Flawless Lumiere foundation, it has a little less coverage and it's not as flattering and it's not as long wearing. Compared to my Charlotte Tilbury, it's definitely not as flattering. It has the same amount of coverage, but I feel like that one you use less, it's more affordable, and it looks better and it wears better, as in a more flattering way. So I feel like the foundations I have in my collection that this one is comparable to, I prefer. So therefore this one isn't beating any of them out, if that makes sense. Yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed. I was kind of, I don't know what I was hoping for. I guess I feel like now I've got like some such holy grails in my collection that it really has to be phenomenal to top them. And as I obviously can't return this, I will definitely give it another go, perhaps with like my Tatcha Silk Canvas Primer. That might just, between the two of them, they might, you know, work out these issues. But yeah, obviously you shouldn't have to get a phenomenal primer to make your foundation work when it's less expensive. So yeah, I think if you are younger and you have very good skin and you're looking for a natural foundation with some luminosity, maybe you want it to be quite hydrating, you want some SPF in there, then I think it's definitely worth a try, if not just for this ridiculously beautiful bottle. But if you have any issues on your skin, texture, pores, fine lines, wrinkles, I don't think that this is going to do any favours. So there you have it. Those are my final thoughts on the Guerlain L'Essential Natural Glow Foundation. I really hope this was helpful. Please let me know if you have any other questions that I haven't answered down below, and if I try this out again tomorrow, I will let you know if I get on any better with it. Maybe I'll try it with a different primer and see if we can get a bit of a smoother, more flattering result. I really hope to see you in a future video. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.